All right, let's get this thing started. Zombies, rookie cops, a mysterious woman named Alice, and bioweapons galore. If there's one franchise that has been through hell and back, quite literally, it's Resident Evil. Hello, my spooky scaries, and welcome to. Wait, Happy New Year! And welcome to an all new episode of the Final Pod. I can't believe we've made it to 2024, and honestly, a third episode altogether. But alas, here we are. I'm your host, Ezra Rivers, and joined by my very, very special guest and one of my best friends, Melinda Ramos. Today, we are here to talk about all things Resident Evil, mainly the movies, but we may dabble into the game since I'm an avid RE gamer. I'm actually currently replaying the Resident Evil remaster. Huge shout out to Capcom for their end of the year PlayStation sale. I actually got the game for, I think it was $5, which is chef's kiss. Melinda, thank you so much for being here with me today and taking time to be part of this episode. I'm super excited about having this convo and sharing our zombie experiences, as well as talking about survival horror in general. I know I've got my survival plan ready, but we'll get into that a little bit later. First, I like to allow my guests the space to introduce themselves and share their horror experiences. So give us a bit about that, please, Miss Melinda.
Hi, Ezra. I'm so happy to be here with you. Happy 2024.
Yes.
Let's get into it. Let's get spooky. So I would say that my love for horror started really early, at the tender age of about 3 years old. My
Oh, that's
grandmother,
even before
yes,
me.
yes, my grandmother always tells this story about when I was little. I would ask, they would be like, "Oh, what movie do you want to watch?" And I'd be like, "The one with the bee, the one with the bee," but it wasn't really a bee. It was a moth, and it's The Silence of the Lambs. So I started really gory, and I just loved
Interesting.
anything. Yes, totally normal. 3 years old, love it. Totally age appropriate. No, but on a serious note, I just always loved anything like that. Like, I don't know if you remember Tales of the Crypt.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
that
stuff like
show
that.
used to
Super
scare the
spooky.
hell out of
Yes.
me.
Not me. I used to love it. So I've always just kind of been a horror girl. I love anything and everything scary. The gorier the better. So I think that's why I love zombies. Because it's a little bit of everything, right? Zombie stuff has you like on the edge of your seat because you never know. Twists and turns. Anywhere you turn around, there could be a zombie there waiting to eat your brains.
No, for real.
And once they get to you, forget it. Brains, brains, brains. So that's, a little bit of my backstory when it comes to my love for horror. So let's get into these zombies, though.
Awesome. That's actually very interesting. I have yet to meet anyone actually where they say one that it started at three because I know for me, I want to say, I mean, I'm not too far off, but my first one I mentioned in the first episode was A Nightmare on Elm Street, and that
Yes,
terrified
a
the
classic.
hell out of me. But then it was like I just couldn't get enough. Like, I remember the first time I watched it, and just in case anyone didn't listen to the first episode, it's fine. But I remember the first time I watched it, and I literally couldn't sleep for like 2 days. And it was so bad, but I was like, but I want to keep watching it. And then came Scream and yada yada yada. But like you said, we are here to talk about zombies.
Yes.
So let's jump right into it. So Resident Evil has been a beloved franchise of gamers around the world since 1996. So I can't believe I was only 3 years old when the first one came out. And truthfully, now that you even said three, I was probably playing it at that age too, which is most likely too young. But hey, I turned out okay, right?
Totally, totally normal.
The first Resident Evil game spawned massive sequels, requels, and spin offs, but nothing hits home like the original. I think we can all remember our reactions to that first zombie turning around and facing us. I mean, it still creeps me out to this day. Since then, we've gotten comic books, mangas, animated films, the live action franchise, and even and I hate to say it, but it's the truth, a failed Netflix series, which I personally loved and wish we got more of. The game franchise spans over 10 games, not including remakes or spin offs, and has captured the hearts of gamers for 27 years. While I'm a huge fan of these games, I do have a favorite, And as of right now, it's the Resident Evil 2 remake that was blessed to us in 2019. It completely revamped the survival horror genre and gave the series a new light. While the RE3 remake may have fallen a bit short for many of us, including myself, I also hold it highly, just not as high as RE2 or even RE4. So I beg the question, have you ever played any of the games? And if not, would you ever want to? Because girl, I can hook you up.
Oh my God. So no, I actually have never. I'm not really a gamer girly. And when I do, I'm more of like a Grand Theft Auto, like let's shoot a place up, let's
I
run some
mean,
people over.
hey, I'm
Um,
excited for Grand Theft Auto 6 just like anybody else.
yes, period. Me too. I cannot wait. No, but yeah, like so for me, I love horror stuff. Like I already explained, zombies love it. But for some reason, when I play video games that are like zombies coming at me, like I get way too scared. Like I'm invested. Like I really feel like I'm in there, bitch. Like am I allowed to curse?
Yes, you
I
are.
think
Yes,
I'm
you are.
okay, okay, okay. I was about to say we're gonna have to edit that out. No, but like I'm scared, bitch. Like I really feel like I'm really in it. Like heart pounding, hands sweating, throwing the remote control. Like no, no, no. But I definitely would be down. I'd have to start off slow and like watch you play first, ease my way into it. Because obviously
So
I take it way to the heart.
so perfect. I know where we're adding into girls' night. We're adding in a Resident Evil
Yes,
playthrough.
yes. Add it to the list.
Okay, so jumping right back into it, we are here to talk mainly about the Resident Evil movies. Now, trust me, I know. I'm in the message boards, I'm in the Facebook chats, I get it. This franchise is either extremely loved or extremely hated by the
Yes.
masses. And I, for one, love the movies because I think they use the games as a sort of inspiration and
Hmm.
completely created their own world, which is what a lot of people hated about it. So for me, I think movies, media, music, anything like that is very subjective, right? It's subjective to the audience that is, how do you say, obtaining it, right? So
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
what I may love in a horror franchise, you may hate, but it's completely okay. And I think that's where a lot of people get kind of like crazy about it. And
Yes,
I, for
exactly.
one, no, go ahead.
No, what I was gonna say is I think that people oftentimes hold on to something too much. Like there's like a lot of nostalgia obviously attached
Yes.
to the games. And you know how gamers are, they go hard, like
Hmm.
they are about their business, like they do not play. So I think the fact that the movies are loosely based, they're just inspired by the video game, basically, right? Like, Raccoon City, the Umbrella Corporation, the T virus, like all that stuff, like it's loosely based on the video game. It's not exactly like a play by play. And I think that people either love or hate that, right? And like I said, people who love their video games, like they're gonna be like, why is this called Resident Evil and why is it
Yeah.
not like the game? So for me, because I have more of an open mind, because I don't play the game and I just have a love for zombies and I have a love for horror, I love it for what it represents and what I get out of it, right? But I think that people who tie it too much to the video games might have a hate for it, and I can see why, because it totally, like, from what I've read and from what I've heard, it really does not follow the games at all, and that's okay. But I think that's why there's such like like such a tear between the love and hate for the Resident Evil movie series.
I completely agree. And I'm actually very glad that you touched on the fact that gamers hold their games so close to heart
Yes, they
because,
do. Come on,
I
Comic Con.
mean, yeah, come on. I mean, because a lot of the times, like you said, it's attached to this nostalgia, right? So if the game came out in 1996, you kind of grow up with it and you grow up with this idea of what it should be. And then when you attach a name to a project like a movie or a TV series, it doesn't live up to what the people hold so close. That's where it becomes like, well, then you should have just called this like zombie takeover or something
Exactly.
versus
And that's where the
Resident Evil.
disappointment lies. Exactly. Exactly. I think that when you take the title of something, especially a loved video game, that's honestly, that's like a really hard task to complete, if you ask me. Like, there's a lot of expectations, you know? And you know what? You can't make everybody happy. Let's
You
just call it
can't.
what it is.
You
You
can't. And
can't
I
make them all
mean,
happy.
whether you want to admit it or not, the movies made money, baby.
They
Like
sure did.
the movies made a lot of money, and It's interesting though because someone who's a gamer and watches the films versus, you know, I love that I'm able to have this conversation with someone who has only watched the movies because you get the full spectrum of like what the Resident Evil as a brand means to the public, if that makes
Right,
sense.
exactly.
And like you said, you don't know how closely they are to the games because while none of them truly stick to the source material, I mean, the closest we got were some scenes in the second movie. I do feel as though it served its purpose as being inspired by, but not replicated of the series.
Right,
The,
absolutely.
the character of Alice was introduced to us in the first Resident Evil movie, which premiered in 2002. And when you look back, it's very of its time.
Yes, it is.
The movie grossed almost $18 million its opening weekend and around 104 million worldwide, which are pretty big numbers, especially for the early 2000s. And for me and most other people, seems like a hit. It was big enough to spawn 5 other movies after it, which, if you ask every Resident Evil fan, almost all of them fell short after the second one, which was Apocalypse.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. We'll get into
Yeah,
all
we'll
of
get into it.
it.
Yeah.
And I generally don't like to talk numbers much, so we're gonna move on from the whole what it made, what it is, whatever the case may be. Um, but it goes to show that the demand for a Resident Evil franchise was there, which begs the question, why did they not stick to the material? And for me, I think the answer is pretty simple. They didn't want to. You know, you have Paul Wes Anderson, who's the director, and interesting fun fact, if no one knows this who's listening, or even if you didn't know this, he is the husband of star and portrayer of Alice, Mila Jovovich.
Yes, I did know that. No wonder
And
why
he,
she got so many close-ups in the movie.
wait, hello. And
Like,
he's easily one of us. Like you can tell that he loves the games and the material, but it's also very interesting that you said that because if you look at all the like the message boards and what the fans say and everything, a lot of people feel like she maybe got favoritism over, let's say, characters who are actually in the game, because that's another interesting thing. As someone who doesn't play the games, you wouldn't know that her character actually isn't in the games at all.
wow. So, yeah, for someone who's not even in the games, come on. But can we all agree that Alice is badass as fuck? Can we all
No,
just
for
agree?
real. Like,
Like, can we just
hello.
agree? Because like I said, I've seen all the Resident Evil movies, but obviously, I had to rewatch them to refresh my memory for today. So as I was rewatching them, I was like, oh my god, now I remember why I love this so much. Like Alice is just so badass. Like she's badass. Like she's like that strong female lead that like you need. I feel like in like most movies, especially in movies where there's a lot of like physical like fighting, etc., like you don't really have like that strong female character, and I feel like Alice is just that. Like she's strong, not only physically but mentally. Like she's badass, she's fearless, like she's all of those things. And I think that that's a part of the reason why I think I love Resident Evil, because it's like that strong female character that we don't often get. And I appreciate that. Like I know that she's not in the actual game, and I'm okay with that. Like
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
her
It also leaves
character.
room. It also leaves room for them to potentially bring her into the games in the future, right? Like we already
Exactly.
have this established character who has been so contributive to a series that is based off of something else. And while she's not in the games, it's very clear that she's inspired by all of the main game characters that we have in the franchise.
Right. So
Um,
they take like pieces from all the different characters and kind of put that
yes.
into Alice. And listen, if the video game makers need some inspo, Alice, she's the girl for the job. Like you might want to throw her in there, just saying she's a beloved character, you
She
know?
really is.
Yeah, she's like I said, like she is just so badass. Like I was watching, I was like, yeah, kick their ass, like get them, get Nemesis, get the
Yeah.
what are the lickers or whatever they are, like the
Yes.
tongues. I was
Yeah.
like, get them, the dogs. I was like, oh no, I was like, she's fire.
I mean, come on. She jumped on a wall and kicked the shit out of one of them in the face.
Exactly, like
I,
she's unstoppable.
I truly think of her as the like the Tomb Raider of like survival horror when you think
Yes, I
about it.
could totally see it. Yeah, she's like on adventures. Like she like I said, she's strong, she's powerful. Like she kicks ass. Like she's just that girl. Period.
She really is. uh, And to me, as someone who grew up in the late 90s, 2000s, whatever, you guys can do the math, whoever's listening, to find out how old I am.
Like, don't do the math too hard, all right?
Don't hurt your brain. Don't hurt your brain.
Exactly.
I was actually floored when I saw the zombies and the dogs. The action
Yes.
sequences, and while yes, it was never a true replica of the game, it opened a whole new world of Umbrella and Raccoon City. One I found myself, and I'm pretty sure you did as well, in the theater for every single time. I'm not sure if it was Mila's portrayal of Alice, like we just spoke about, or the simple fact that I was seeing my favorite game franchise come to life, but I stuck by it through and through, so much so that I just bought the entire collection for myself for Christmas. Yes, even the dreadful
Yes.
Welcome to Raccoon City, which had so much potential, but another topic we'll get into in a little. Over the course of 6 films, Alice met and interacted and even faced off with our most beloved Resident Evil characters. We got Claire, Wesker, Jill, Chris, Leon, Nemesis, just to name a few. And while they were not accurately portrayed in my eyes, it was still so much fun to see them on screen kicking some real zombie ass. And I think for me, that is something that we really lack in movies sometimes, where you get a movie or a franchise that wants to stick so solely to something that you lose what going to the movies is about. And if you've been to AMC and you saw the Nicole Kidman intro, as iconic as it is, we want to be captivated, right? We want to have
Absolutely.
fun, and we want to sit there and go with our friends and be like, does it make sense that she like jumped on a wall and was able to kill a zombie dog with one kick to the face? No, but that's not what it's about.
Exactly. It's about the fun of it, right? Like that, I think that's the beauty of horror, right? Like we know it's not real, right? Like we're escaping for whether like for an hour and a half during the movie, whatever the runtime is. Like that's the point. Like we want the action. We want it to not be 100% realistic every time. Like hello, it's loosely based off of a video game. Like we all know that moves in video games are not 100% accurate, but like
Exactly.
that's the fun of it. Like that's what makes it fun, you know? And like we were talking about earlier, like just the fact that it's inspired by people's favorite video game, like Raccoon City and the corrupt Umbrella Corporation. Like I think that could all reflect to like real life stuff. Like um, we all have our like theories to as what the government is up to, and certain
Oh,
corporations that
that
run the
we could
world. Like
go
we could
into
really
that
we listen. We
forever.
could we could go down a deep rabbit hole. We're just gonna touch the surface. Like we just see the whole. We're not diving in. But like I think that the conspiracy theorists inside of us could like all relate to like yeah, like that Umbrella Corporation, like we're gonna get them, like whether it's Alice bouncing off a wall and um doing a flip kick into a zombie dog's face. Like that's not the point. The point is that we're talking about things that are legit, like they're real, like those things really go on, maybe not in this capacity, but it's a little bit of real life stuff, a little bit of action, a little bit of exaggerated cinema, whatever, but like that's the point, that's why we love it.
Yeah, 100%. And another interesting little fact about Alice and the actress herself is, and I think this is what makes me kind of appreciate it more and appreciate her commitment to the role, whether you hate the movies, whether you hate the character, whatever it may be, you can't deny the fact that she gave that role her all. She,
Yes,
oh, excuse me. She did she did a lot of her own stunts. She did a lot of her own fight work, and
I love that
trained.
for her.
Me too. Like you said, who doesn't want to see a woman kick ass for
Yes,
two
yes,
hours?
exactly, that's what I'm
I know
saying.
I do. Like, come on.
Same.
Power to the puss, if you ask me.
Yeah, because we don't get that too often, like we get let's call it what it is. We get a lot of strong male leads, right? Like often, like and if there is a female lead, often she's like a damsel in distress who has like this guy coming to
She has like
rescue her, and
one
it's like
fight
no,
scene.
and it's like no, Alice is that guy. She is that person, like period. Like she's the one coming to save people, not the other way around, right?
Yeah, it literally reminds me of my favorite quote from Cher, where she did an interview and she said her mom had asked her like, "Oh, don't you want a strong man in your life or whatever?" And she said that she rebutted and told her mother, "Mom, I am the strong man."
Yes, yes, Cher. She's another queen. Shout out to another queen.
Shout out to
Um,
all the queens.
yes, but exactly, like we don't need a man to come and rescue us. Like Alice, she's showing us like, yeah, I could do bad all by myself.
Hey, and I can take down a whole corporation while doing it and looking good, if you
Absolutely.
ask me.
Exactly. Even her outfits, I was like, those are pretty good, like considering it's an
I
apocalypse.
mean, right? And it was also what I also loved about it is that they never over sexualized her.
No, I was very tasteful. Like I said, I had to rewatch everything. I was like giving me such nostalgia. I was like, oh my God, I was like, I'm loving the early 2000 vibes. Like, just
Yeah,
throw me in this movie, please. Like, I'm loving the costumes. Like, I'm loving everything. Like, and then even Miss Valentine, she's another baddie, another
she
strong
sure
female
is.
character. We that's what I love about it, and that's what I love about like a lot of like early 2000s things. You like look back and you watch them. It's like a lot of strong women, like a lot of like stepping outside the box, and I love that for us. That's why us millennials grew up to be like who we are, right?
You know, that's so interesting. I actually did not realize that until you said it, but the 2000s gave us a lot of strong women.
Yes, and I think that's why we are the outspoken queens that we all are today, because we were exposed to these strong characters, whether it was in film, TV, whatever the case is.
Yeah,
We had that. Exactly.
we
And
got
it's
like
super
Angelina
important.
Jolie as Tomb Raider.
Yes, exactly.
We had Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy.
Oh my God, yes.
Anyway, that's another episode coming soon. Just a heads up, because if you know me, I could talk
Vampires.
Buffy for ever. Like people are always like, "You really watched that?" I know people who are like, "Oh well, I was more Charmed," and I'm like, "That's cute. Charmed is
Charm
cute,
is
but
cute, but
how do you
Buffy,
not?
come on.
Come on." It's Buffy, it's Angel, it's Spike, and I'm rambling on about something we're not talking about.
That's okay.
So,
That's okay. We're having too much fun.
I want to take a second to kind of break away from talking about the franchise really quick and do something that I first time I'm doing it, sort of like a game kind of thing. But what's your zombie survival guide? I know mine, and I know who would be on my team. But let's start with you, Mel. What is your
I
survival guide, and how
thought
would you handle a zombie apocalypse?
I thought that you would never ask. So, first and foremost, I'm like secretly always waiting for this day to happen.
I mean, I
You
thought
know,
COVID was going to be the moment,
no,
to be
no,
honest.
seriously, no, seriously. Like, I don't know, if you've ever seen The Walking Dead. What's the spinoff again?
Fear the Walking Dead.
Yes, Fear the Walking Dead. I don't know if you remember, like, because I watched like maybe the first season or two of Fear the Walking Dead. I fell off. That's another story for another day. But in the beginning, you like see like flashbacks of like everything that was happening and like videos circulating of like, people eating other people's faces off. Yeah, so in that instance, once I see that, like as a New York City girl, I'm out. Because you know that once people no, because once the masses catch wind, like we're gridlocked, we're in. And
Yeah, for real.
surviving an apocalypse in New York City is like, that's a death wish. Not
That's a
saying that you
joke.
can't, yeah, not saying that you can't survive, but chances are
I mean,
slim
the
to none.
city's really not that big. Like, I hate when people are like, "Oh my God, New York is like so
No, it's
huge." Like,
small, and there's
it's
so
really,
many people. Why do you think we all live amongst each other? Why do you think we all live on top of each other? There's like
the
not
city
not
is
enough
sinking.
space. Yeah, not enough space, and too many of us. But yeah, like I said, my first plan would be to get out of here ASAP, like before anybody catches wind. And then also, question sidebar, like what kind of zombies are we talking? Are we talking like the Walking Dead zombies, or like 28 days later zombies? Because if that's the case, it's over for me. I'm dying. Like, I can't run that fast.
um, Truthfully, I would hope it's not 28 days later zombies, because, yeah, I mean, no, I'm not even gonna lie to anybody that's gonna listen, or anybody else in the world. I cannot run. I ran track in high school and went to the meets and faked a stomach ache every single time that I went to these meets, and I was like, you know what? I'm here to
So
support my team. So
Ezra's not a runner.
let's say, let's do Walking Dead, Resident Evil zombies.
Okay.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Okay, because I was gonna also ask like Last of Us, like are there clickers?
No,
Like
no, 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 no,
what's
no,
how?
no. That's a
Okay,
whole.
okay,
Just
okay.
throw me out the window at that point.
No, seriously. Okay, fine. Regular like I want to eat your brain zombies. like I said, I think I could survive. My plan is, like I said, is to evacuate ASAP, get out of the city, get away from a lot of people. My first instinct, I always say I would drive up north. Probably go to like the Catskills, like the Catskill Mountains, like in
Yes.
upstate. Because I don't know anybody who's listening, if you've ever been, you have to like drive up a mountain, like you have to wind around the mountain, and like when you drive up, there's like no barriers. Like if somebody was to like walk there, they could just like fall over the edge. So I would imagine like zombies, especially like when it gets cold, they're like a little slower. So it'd be like really hard for them to like move up the mountain than if they might possibly like fall off the edge, which would be good for me. And then also there's like a small population up there. So if I did have to go up there and let's say, clear the area, if you catch my drift, it would be a little easier. I just need to brush up on my gun shooting skills because like I'm from New York, like, guns, they
Yeah,
don't
we
really
don't
have those
really
here.
use
Like,
guns.
I'm like, I might have to go to a shooting range or something. But I'm ready to be on like my Michonne shit. Shout out to Michonne from the Walking
Shout
Dead.
out to Michonne, because if I'm correct, I don't think that woman ever used a gun.
No, and she's another baddie, another strong female character. Like she's another one. But yeah, like if I have to, whatever. Listen, destroy the brain. That's all I know. Sever the
Yep.
brain. Like that's it. So I'm aiming for the head. I'm aiming for the jugular. Like head off.
Okay,
um,
I have another question to
yes.
add to your survival guide. So let's say, obviously the CDC, everybody is going to get involved, whatever the case may be.
Don't listen to them suckers because you all saw how COVID went.
I mean, well, that's one. Yeah, you can't really take everything that they say for fact and truth. But let's say they're coming out and they're like, the virus is spreading, whatever the case may be. We thought we could contain it. We can't. There's no end in sight. How long do you think you could survive? Or would you actually want to survive?
That's a really good question. Like that dives into like morals and like that's just like wow.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that okay. So I definitely think I do have that dog in me. So I do think that I have the potential to survive. Um, do I think I'm gonna like live years and years and years? I don't know. But definitely like a solid 6 months. Like we're doing this.
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's what I say too. I say I give it
Yeah.
half a year. If there's no end in sight, then like, am I really gonna fight zombies and like
Right.
savage food for
Exactly.
the rest of my life?
Like yeah, like can I live like chocolate pudding out the can for the rest of my life? Like
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know.
Can I eat canned beans and baked beans for the rest of my life?
Like
I
no.
don't really know.
No, and then for me, like this is like a little vain, but the vain person in me is like, oh my god, like I'm gonna have like a unibrow, like I can't get my eyebrows done, like my nails, like my hair, I'm gonna be looking crazy. Like, what about a shower? Like I shower 2 times on a regular, like a day. Like I'm not gonna
Hello.
have access to hot water, running water. Like,
They're gonna be in those
it's
rivers and
rough.
lakes with the rags.
Exactly. But what I do have to say is that if a majority of the people that I love and care for are no longer around, like, do I really have anything to live for? I don't know. It's like a whole morality thing. Like, you get into like this whole like, can I survive? Like, is it worth surviving? Right? Like, what am I
Yeah.
living for? What am I surviving for? Right? And like I was saying earlier in the introduction, like, my love for zombies is because wow, you watch a zombie movie or a zombie TV show, right? And like you're literally on edge the entire time, right? Why? Because a zombie could pop up around the corner at any second, right? And just grab you and eat you and you're bit and that's it, like you're done, right? So I think that living life like in survival mode like that for like longer than 6 months, like if a zombie didn't kill me, like mental health, hello, like my anxiety would kill me. So
Shout
um
out to that. I mean, definitely if you can see your therapist before the zombie apocalypse happens, make that brain
yes,
strong because
like
you're
if
gonna
that's
need
someone
that.
if that's someone you could protect your therapist at all costs.
Take your therapist on you with your survival guide. Your survival
Yes,
team has to consist of a therapist.
exactly, like we need a
Take note
mental
of
health
that right
professional.
now.
Like we definitely need a mental health professional. But considering all the stuff you know about zombies and all the stuff I know about zombies, like I'm feeling like we'd be a pretty good duo. I definitely want you
Oh,
on my team, Ezra.
let's go, girl. We got this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And can I mention anyone who doesn't know about zombies, anyone who's not like athletic, physical, whatever, like I don't want you on my team. You're just dragging me down. I'm
Oh
sorry.
my
Like
gosh. And I'm not going to say who I told it to because if they listen, I don't want them to be offended, but they would know who they are. But I told someone who is not a good runner has asthma. I was like, look, I love you. I will board you up in a house. I will leave you as much food as I can,
Yeah, like I'll like if I could
but I
come back,
gotta
I'll
go.
feed you. Like,
I gotta go, and you can't come with me, girl.
yes, seriously. So I have a question for you. So if you did find yourself in a zombie apocalypse, right? And you were, let's say, boarded up in your building, would you choose, and let's say things are crazy, right? Like you can't go anywhere. Would you choose to try and venture out and leave, or would you board yourself up in your house and like stay put and just try ride it out?
So, thanks for the question. That's really good.
Thank you.
I think for me, out of I know the whole saying like curiosity killed the cat. Well, baby,
Hmm.
meow meow because I'm going outside. I think
Yes.
like, well, one, I already, I've been, as most of us or some of us, I've been on like vacation for the holidays or whatever the case may be. So I've been home and I go stir crazy after like day two.
Cabin
Like,
fever is real.
there's not enough movies in the world that I can watch. There's not enough video games that I can play. I don't have enough friends to FaceTime and call all the
No,
time.
exactly. Like friend circle is a period.
Hello. So
Exactly.
I think for me, I think I'll give it a few days just to like scope out, like I have a little, it's not, I was gonna say a balcony, not that fancy. I have a
Okay,
fire
I was about to
escape.
say, okay.
I have a little fire escape that I feel like I would kind of stand on and like really look out and like scope the scene and see, one, what type of zombies they are. Because, like I said, if
Yes.
they're running up and down these Harlem streets, baby girl, I'm staying in.
Yeah, Harlem's crazy as it is. There's
Hello.
zombies out there already.
Hello.
Can we talk about it? Like there's zombies
So
there already. Like
I think for me, I'm gonna answer the question in whole. So my zombie survival guide for sure would be I would want to know as much of fact, quote unquote, and I'm doing air quotes even though no one can see me, but I would do as much like research as I can. So I want to monitor it in the sense of if I'm running out of New York, I need to know where I'm going. Like I need to make sure that
a
like it
plan.
hasn't reached. Yes,
Yeah, a plan.
I am I love to be spontaneous as far as like let's get up and go
Same,
to a
so bad.
restaurant, but like if it comes to survival in an
This is
apocalypse,
not
there
a spontaneous moment. Like, no, you
exactly
gotta
like
think
there's got to
on.
be some planning like so I think I would plan it out a little bit, right? Because you also like we said, you can't trust the CDC. So whatever information they're going to feed us, is it really accurate? No.
Yeah,
Um,
negative.
I think I would plan it out a little bit to the point of what's outside. Everyone's gonna go and like ransack like the supermarkets and stuff. So I'm not gonna be part of that. Like, go off, sis. Get your stuff.
Exactly.
I will eat the crackers that you leave behind. Trust me.
Like I will survive over anything. Like same.
Yeah, I can make it work. Like if there's like cans of fruit, whatever the case may be, like I will make it work. But I would have to scope it out. Um, Kind of gather, like you said, gather some people that I know can survive outside and then kind of leave the others behind in a sense of just making sure they're safe. But
Hmm.
we both know if you go outside, you're going to die. So it's like,
Yeah, and those are tough decisions. I think that when you watch like zombie movies and shows, it's a lot of that like moral dilemmas, right? Like a lot of what's the right thing to do, and it's like, do I do the right thing just for me? Do I do the right thing for the greater good? Do I do the right thing for me and my people? Like, what's right and what's wrong, right?
it's
Um,
that question of like, does
yes,
one person's life, like sacrificing one person's life to save 100, like, is it like,
is it
where
worth
does
it,
it,
right?
yeah, where do you draw the line?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And then you also learn too, right? Like in The Walking Dead, right? Who's really the enemy? Is it the walkers or is it the living people, right? And I
I mean,
think
I
that
have an answer to that already. I think it's us.
oh, it's definitely us, baby, because there's not a zombie apocalypse and it's already crazy in these streets. So,
Hello.
so like I said, and I think that's what I love about zombies too, right? It brings up all of these things. It's deeper than just brain eating zombies. It's a lot deeper
Yeah,
than that. That's just the surface. That's what you see on the surface. But when you really dive in, it's a lot deeper than that. It's survival. It's making conscious moral decisions. It's about survival. It's about all of those things. And I think that's what makes zombie um film and TV so great.
Of course, because it makes you think, and I think that's another thing that I like about horror that's just not about jump scares and gores, right? Like I lean more towards the horror where, you walk out of the theater and you're like, what the F did I just watch? Like,
Yes,
what would I do in that situation? And it makes you think, like, and I think that's what good cinema does. I think that's what good films and TV shows do. They make you
absolutely.
think outside of, okay, it's a zombie apocalypse, right? But like, what, like you said, who's the real enemy? Like, is it the fact that these mindless things are roaming around, when you think about it, just trying to survive themselves, right? Because they have to eat, whether it's, I know it's humans and it's us and it sucks, but it
It
becomes the
sucks.
whole like, it becomes the whole like animal kingdom, right? Like they become the new hunters and we become the new
Exactly.
prey. But then
Yes,
when
they're
you
at the
think
top of the
about
food
it,
chain.
exactly. But then when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, we are also the hunters and they are also the prey. No, we're not eating them. I would hope not. But
Ooh,
it 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 just, like you said, it's this whole moral thing that goes into it. And I think when you start to apply it to real life, like how we're doing now and kind of talking about how we would handle it, it's almost hard to answer the question because you never really know until it happens.
absolutely. I think we all have these ideas of, oh, if like you were saying, you watch a film, you're like, oh my God, this is what I would do, and that's what I would do. You don't know what you would do
No.
until you're in it. You know, and we
Because I
might sit
say it
here
all the
and
time,
say
like,
we would be badass and we'd be out there kicking butt like Alice, but
of course,
truth is,
but
we,
no.
we might we might roll over, fetal position.
I mean, not for nothing. If I see something that looks like a nemesis coming towards me, I am sorry, but I'm not
Oh
gonna
no,
punch it in the
no, no, no,
face
no,
like
no.
she did.
I'm running. I'm gonna be like Mike Epps. The
Yeah, I'm
scene when he had
out.
the guns and he dropped them? That would have been me.
Yes.
Except I would have dropped.
I would have dropped the guns. I would have dropped myself. I would have hit under the dead bodies. Like I would do anything
Yeah,
because
no.
that is a big beast.
And he was scary as hell. Like I was watching, I was like, I know I'm a grown woman. I was like, but I'm like a little scared right now. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I could take that big boy on. Like,
no, no
I'm
thanks.
usually like, oh hey big daddy, but that is not one big daddy that I want.
No, that's one big daddy you are not interested in, and I don't blame you.
Yeah, no, I'm good on that. But yeah, I think like truthfully, you have to plan it out. You don't really know until it happens, and hopefully it doesn't. But I think I don't think I would stay in. I don't think I have it in me. And I think when it comes to like how long I would last, like you had mentioned, if the people that I love are gone or are still here, I think I can survive for as long as like the last person I truly care about lives, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes so much sense. Like you need that will to live. You need something to live for. And if I'm living in a world where it's just walkers eating my brain, trying to eat my brains, like that is not a world I'm trying to live in.
No,
Like
especially if you have to do it alone, right? Like, yeah, granted, you meet other survivors or whatever the case may be, but then we get into the whole Walking Dead scenario. Like, can you really trust these people? Like, are
and the
they?
answer is usually no.
And I would say the answer is almost, yeah,
It's
almost
almost
all the
always
time,
no.
though.
Yeah, agreed.
I-
I mean,
Because
you
people do
experience
what they
so
have to
many.
do.
Yes, exactly. You experience so many different kinds of people. Like some people who are they're about it, and they're only for their own people. So you come in as an outsider, and they might welcome you in, but it's because they need something from you, right? Or you get into
Exactly.
like, there was like a community of survivors, and they were cannibals, right? Like they were trying to convince survivors to come. Why? So they could tear that ass up literally, like you know.
And think about it,
So
right? And then, like you said, so then you think about it like this. Now we have humans becoming cannibals who are eating people. Like, why does that make them different from a zombie?
exactly.
Just the fact that they're
I
alive?
think a zombie's better. At
I
least
mean,
they're doing it's not in their control, right?
and you
So
know what to expect.
exactly, when a human being does something like that and they're into cannibalism, that's a conscious effort. I mean, that's a conscious decision, right? Like they're consciously deciding, like, let's lure people in and let's eat them. Like what?
Which is
Like
wild.
yeah, like this apocalypse really got to your head, huh? That's why you were supposed to let your therapist survive. You see, you're supposed to save your therapist.
Once again, hashtag, we're gonna make that the hashtag for this episode. Hashtag bring your therapist along.
Yes. Yes. Hashtag
That,
mental health is important, even in an apocalypse, okay?
hey, look at that. We got two hashtags.
Exactly.
Okay, so I love that we're both just so ready for the end of the world.
We
It's
sure are.
interesting how movies truly do help you prepare for real world situations if they were to ever occur. Now is the moment that every Resident Evil hater who happens to stumble across this episode is waiting for. We are going to talk about Welcome to Raccoon City. And I just have to say, I did see this in theaters the day it came out, and honestly, as much as I hate to admit it, I fell asleep during the second half of the film.
Mm.
While it was exciting to see all my favorite characters from the series on screen, it was extremely underwhelming. The plot of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City focuses on the first two major games of the franchise, Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, and bringing both these iconic games into one film. And while everyone had hoped it would work, it simply did not. The writing was poor, the casting was subpar, and the changing of personalities for the biggest game characters in survival horror history was just plain messy. There was no real reason to mesh two games that happened months apart into one movie. By the way, you've seen this one, right? Welcome to Raccoon City.
So I've only seen bits and pieces of it because I started watching it. I was having issues with my Fire Stick, but from what I saw of it, for I don't know. I have
Uh-huh.
so I have mixed feelings. I feel like it didn't hold true to like what the Resident Evil series like brought. Like I don't know, it didn't feel very Resident Evil-esque, if that makes sense. Like I don't know, like it just I don't know, it just was subpar to me. Like I said, I felt like it was not it didn't really have that like Resident Evil like je ne sais quoi, right? Like and it felt very like they were trying to do like more like horror gore vibes. Like that's what like I was getting from it. Although shout out to the main character. I don't remember the actress's name because I'm like terrible at names, but I loved her. I used to watch a British series called Skins, and she was like one of the main characters. So like I love her as an actress. Um, but the movie, I think we could all say
it's
we could live without it, right?
it's
Can we all agree?
a
We all
it's
agree?
actually funny that you say that because on the opposite end, and you say that because you haven't played the game, so I love that you said that, but on the opposite end of it, it actually stuck truer to the Resident Evil games than the series with Alice.
Right, exactly. And that's why for me, as someone who didn't play the video
It
games, it's
didn't
so
work.
far off. Right.
Yes.
And I think that if you're gonna like stick to like if you're gonna like not follow and be true to the games, like say it with your chest, stick to it.
No, for
You
real,
know,
yeah, like
like stick to it. Like clearly that's what you were. That's the timing you were on. That's cool, but stick to it. Like now all of a sudden, like 20 million movies in, we're gonna like try to be more like the video game. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Like I get it, but I don't. You know.
yeah.
And what are your feelings about it, considering you love the games?
Okay.
Oof.
Yeah, let's take a
Ezra,
deep
be
breath.
honest. Be honest.
I'm
Spill the
gonna
truth. Spill the
I'm gonna
tea.
take a sip from my ghost face cup really quick. I'm gonna just take a sip.
Love it. Yeah. Get ready,
Okay,
y'all.
so yeah, we're gonna jump right into it. So for me personally, well, one, I'll tell you this, right? So like I said, it brought together Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. And we got a mixture of characters. So you get all the characters from Resident Evil 2, as well as all the characters from Resident Evil 1. So my biggest thing was there was no reason to really mesh two games that happened months apart in the series into one movie.
Right. So the timeline is off.
Yeah, the timeline is off completely. And I understand, like after watching interviews with the directors and the cast, like the thought process was there and the creativity was unique, but it just kind of fell flat, right? Because in the game series, you have Resident Evil 1, which is the mansion, when you have Jill, Chris, Wesker, kind of the alphas and the bravos of the RPD Stars organization, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much that happens in the first game that is like crucial to the lore and the mythology and kind of exposing Umbrella that leads into the second game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, when you kind of mush all those together and you kind of put them into a pot, when you mix it around, like I think they thought they were giving us this like beautiful Resident Evil soup, and instead we just got like a really messy, sloppy thing.
Slop. Yeah, you got slop.
Yeah, like they made Leon a wimp. In the game, he's not a wimp. He's not a coward. He's a rookie. So he's kind of naive and kind of like lost in the sauce, but he's never scared of anything. You know what I mean?
Right. So
And
they
then
didn't
you
even
have,
hold true to like the character's actual like character, right? Like their core, their morals. Like, no, like that's not cool. Like, and I think that a lot of times movies like they do that to fit the agenda of their script, right? To fit into the movie that they're trying to make. And it's like,
yep,
okay, you want to mesh all of these games, you want to mesh all of these characters and these plots and all of that, and it's like, okay, but you're still taking away from like the genuine
like
personality
what
of these
makes it
characters.
it.
Like, exactly,
And then
exactly.
you have Claire, who is the character of the actress that you had just mentioned. Oh my God,
Hmm.
what is her name? I forgot her name.
I don't remember either. It's like something with a K, I think her first name. Like,
Oh, it's like Cara Scodalero or
yeah,
something.
something like that.
So I know she'll never hear it, but if she ever does, baby girl, I'm so sorry for messing up your name. But
Yeah, sorry.
and then
We're
you
not good
have
with names.
her, you have her. She's playing Claire, right? And in the games, Claire is this again young, naive, kind of what's going on. But her sole mission throughout the whole game of Resident Evil 2 is to find her brother Chris, and
Hmm.
she finds him in the first 10-15 minutes of the movie.
Right. So what are we doing?
Yeah, so it's
Like,
like you completely removed her quest and her
yeah,
journey
like
and
her
you
literal the whole mission of the character.
like her
Like,
existence
yeah,
of
they summed up like the existence of a character into the first 10 minutes of a movie.
and then
Like,
kept her in the movie.
what are they? What were they even thinking?
And then you have Wesker. Wesker is I'm sure you remember him from the other franchise. He's the blonde guy with the glasses. He's the big bad.
Yes, yes, yes.
I mean, come on, psychopath, crazy, hella strong,
Exactly.
like, and you have him in this movie, and he's like, he's soft, and he's a. They have him as this like kind of. If they put all these characters into like detention for the Breakfast Club, he's the class clown. I'm just gonna say
Right.
that.
So it's like what they do to this. Like, what happened to this character during this time? Like, he turned into like a like. That's what I don't understand. Like, the character development is way off. Like,
And like I get that it's a different director. It's supposed to be a kind of like a I'm not gonna say reboot because they weren't trying to replicate what they had done in the other franchises, but you wanted to stick close to something and you still missed it. Like
right. And the
and then
truth
you
is, no
have
matter what, you still have the Resident Evil name attached to your movie, whether you want to do it
yes.
differently or not. Like, you still have like that franchise name tied to your movie. Because let's call it what it is. If you took the Resident Evil name off of that movie, was anybody going to see that movie?
No. I
Right,
wasn't.
exactly. So, fine, maybe you want to take the characters and you want to bring them somewhere else, and like maybe your character development, like you saw that as authentic to the characters. But the truth is that without Resident Evil like being attached to your movie, like no one was going to see that, good sir. Like, I don't mean to be rude, but like nobody was going to see that. So at least hold true to the Resident Evil franchise somewhat.
Agreed 100%. And then even like we mentioned her from the other series, we had Jill Valentine, right?
Hmm.
And in the Resident Evil, the sixth film, the Paul Wes Anderson, I really hope his middle name is Wes, so we're just gonna say Paul W. Anderson.
It
Um,
was Wes.
Paul, we're just gonna say Paul. So in Paul's franchise, he brought Jill, and we get that character, we get that strong woman, we get
Yes.
that ready to, take on anything. Like, and might I say, a mini skirt and a tube top. Like, hello.
Yeah, she did that. She did that.
Really did. She ate that down. and
I would
then
have lost my tube top and all that.
and then we get this new version of Jill who again was supposed to be truer to the material, who is dumbed down to be this like fangirl of Wesker, and she's kind of longing after him, and you can tell that she like wants to be with him, and it's like now
Ew.
I've read
This is not a
yeah,
romance
exactly.
movie. Like, no.
Exactly. And I've read the books, like the book version of the first game. I've played every iteration of the first game.
Okay.
There is never a mention of her even looking at this man and being like, I like his eyes. Like, there's nothing of that.
Right.
And
They
you
can't wait to throw stupid romance into stuff.
and I
Like,
hate
no,
it.
we're kicking zombies' ass. Like, love. Nobody has time for love right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we don't even have time to shower, let alone fall in love with someone and like have sex with them in the middle of an
Stink,
apocalypse.
stinking and all that. No, no, no.
It's safe to say that it was a huge disservice to the franchise. And while I say all this, I don't hate the film, right? I expected more, and I think the script was all wrong, and the pacing of it was a big thing because I know it takes like, I mean, there's people who can beat these games in like 7 hours. I'm not one of those people. Please don't even ask. Um, it takes me a while. So I know you can't drown it out. I mean, draw it out for like 10 hours, right, to fit the movie, but it's also not something that can be rushed. Like you have these iconic scenes in the games of like, for the first game, you have them like running through the forest and meeting the finding the mansion and
Hmm.
exploring the mansion very very specifically, like in the
Like in
first
depth.
game. Yeah, and to the point where like there's the first game is very iconic and known for its keys, right? Because they're designed very beautifully. I've seen people like recreate them, and I may even buy some off of Amazon. They don't work,
Dope.
but they're so cool. There's like it's a spade and a heart and a an armor and a shield and a sword, right? And I think things like that, if you're going to have the game and you're going to have them step into this mansion where when you play the game you're pissed off because every door is locked, you can't find any of these keys, and it takes you, you know 2 hours 3 hours to find the first key, and then you get them into this mansion, they run right in, every door is open, like
Right.
everything is just like a walk in the park.
Exactly. They should have like a little bit of the nuances from the game. Like, and that's what would see little details like that would have it hold true to the game while also being unique as a film, right? Separately from the game franchise. But like it's like little nuances like that that make all the difference. Like the details, details, details. Like everyone knows that that's so important, especially in film and TV. Like people love the details. People love looking at those little things, and Advent Resident Evil video game players, like they would love to see things like that. It's like, let us write this shit. Like we'll put all the details in there. Like,
Like,
come on.
hello, come on. I mean, I could write a better Resident Evil movie than this one.
Oop, he went there.
I did. I went there. Hashtag hire Ezra. Thank you.
Yes.
And I think so for me, that's where it all went wrong, right? And I think also shoving, like I said, two iconic games that really built the foundation for the series to keep going, right? And like for us to have 10 to, I think it's like actually almost 20 games in the whole series, just 10 of like the mainstream ones.
Hmm.
Like it starts with the first two games. Like every character that has been introduced in the rest of the series comes from the first two games. And
Oh wow.
so yeah, it's like Resident Evil 1, you get, like I said, Jill, Chris, Barry, Wesker. Those are like the main guys, right? And
Hmm.
then for the second one, you get Leon and Claire. And then for the third one, we get Jill back. And then for the fourth one, we get Leon back. And then for the fifth one, we get Chris back. So it's like
Right.
it's the foundation. It's like, how do you build something if the foundation is messy? Which is why I don't believe this iteration should go on. I don't think we
Hmm.
should get a sequel. I don't think we should do anything of the sorts. I think we should kind of just let it be what it was.
I agree. I agree.
And then if you want to do it again, here's what should have happened, right? We should have had a film that focused on what happened at the mansion. Um, Build that ground. Give us the lore. Give us the whole that iconic notebook where it says "itchy tasty," and like that's kind of how they start to realize what the virus is doing to people and how it's killing them slowly. But
Got
so
it.
it's making their skin itchy, which is why they're decaying, and tasty is the thirst to eat.
I love that.
Um,
See, I'm like learning so much because I never played the games. Like I'm loving like the fact that listen, my mind is still blown from the fact that Alice is not in the games.
she really is not. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
And I think So yeah, I think it should have started there. We should have got all the lore. You know, maybe it would have been a little boring. Fine, I get it because the
No, I love a
second
good
game,
background though. Like I love a good background
exactly.
story. Like, and I think that's one of my favorite things about Resident Evil is like the whole, like the mystery surrounding like the Umbrella Corporation, like what they're really up to, like what experiments that they're doing, like
Who's really
what's real.
part of it?
Yes,
Who
yes,
used to work for them and then
yes,
decided to
exactly. Who
work for
can you
the
trust?
police?
You know,
Yes,
exactly. And that's what I love about it.
I agree 150%. And that's what I think we should have got with this film, right? It should have been. We could have even called it Resident Evil: Welcome to the Spencer Mansion at this point. Like,
Right,
I
exactly.
think, and then I think we should have then led into what happened in Raccoon City, and we could have gotten like certain shots of the police station and small moments that show the city decaying, but
Hmm.
left out Leon, left out Claire. And I think because I would have filmed it as the final shot of the first movie, we would have seen Leon and we would have seen Claire from like behind as they're riding into
Right,
Raccoon City, and then boom, show the sign that says "Welcome to Raccoon City" and the film done,
exactly.
and then we get part two,
Right,
and then
exactly. Like it just would have flowed better, you know?
100%, and then also. You know, I mentioned Claire's mission being to find Chris and kind of how they portrayed her in this movie versus the video games. And I think what also kind of really got to people was they made her this like traumatized, like beaten down girl. Like Chris and excuse me, Chris and Claire. To anyone that's listening and who knows, did not live in Raccoon City, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh gosh. So they didn't even get that
Maybe
right.
that was right. Maybe that was something I missed in the games. I'm currently replaying them. I can do a part two to this episode, and you
I was
guys
gonna
can
say
tell me that I was an
to be
idiot.
continued. We'll find out
But
if you're lying or not. No, stop.
I don't remember or recall them living in Raccoon City, and so
Okay.
for them to kind of make them like these orphans who live there and were going to be experimented on, I thought that was cool because it gives way into her wanting to take down Umbrella,
Exactly.
but it just it's not how I remember it.
Yeah, it
It's
just
just not
wasn't
how I remember
authentic.
it.
No, it just wasn't authentic.
Exactly. And like I said, we could have easily been like the final moments. We could have gotten Claire riding into town on her motorcycle, Leon pulling in with the police car, and then end scene. That's it. It
Beautiful.
just it didn't do it for me. I think this is why I keep telling everyone I need to be in Hollywood, but everyone would hate me because I
Like
wouldn't be able to
Hollywood
collaborate with anyone.
agents, listen, Hollywood agents, if you're listening, shout out to Ezra. Like he has my
Shout it
resume
out.
ready.
The finalpod at gmail.com. If you want to send me a script, we could work. Let's go.
He's a writer. Sue
um,
him.
sort of. With all that goes to say, Resident Evil has been one of the biggest franchises in the history of horror, both on screen and in game. While there have been many variations and interpretations, we have yet to get a solid adaptation of the games we know and love. The Netflix series, which was another inspired by take on Resident Evil, was canceled just after one season. Did you get to see that one, by the way?
No, that I didn't watch. I didn't watch the show. You know, I have like a love hate for Netflix.
Yeah, me too.
You know, they either really outdo themselves or like really disappoint to the point
Yes.
that you're like disgusted. And I was like, I have so many Resident Evil movies to like refresh my mind on. I was like, I'm not even gonna dabble into that series. Like, and I heard
Well,
not good things about it. So, you know,
okay, well, I'm gonna lean on the good things about it only
okay,
because you're not a fan of the games. So it gives you what the Paul Anderson movies gives, which is
okay,
inspired by you get a lot of Umbrella, sneaky, all that kind of conspiracy stuff,
okay.
and it doesn't focus on any of the game characters
Oh
except
wow, okay.
for Wesker. And Wesker is a black man in this iteration, and I'm here for diversity all the time.
Yes, why not?
So we get him, and then you get the two main characters, which are his daughters, and the show is split between two timelines. So you get kind of pre outbreak, pre virus, and then you get post virus, and you see how they were as younger and as teenagers, and then how they've grown up and how they're both living in this um, decayed world, if you would say. So I would say, if you're bored,
Mhm.
don't go into it like, oh, this, we're getting like Alice 2.0. You're not.
Okay, okay. So don't expect Alice. Got it.
Yeah, don't expect Alice, but you can expect um, more of like the morally corrupt kind of evil umbrella. Who's who? What's going on? Why are they doing this? This person isn't who I think they are. Um, yeah, so it's focused on Wesker's daughters and quote unquote a new Raccoon City, which is what they call it.
Got it.
Another adaptation that I mentioned did not fare well with viewers, but as I said, I actually enjoyed it. I wished we got a season two because it was another moment where I wasn't taking it as a replica of the games. And
Okay,
I think
so
with
add it to my
that,
watch list is what I'm hearing.
added to the watch list, yes.
Okay, okay. I definitely will. I'll go in with an open mind.
Done and done. I think you should. I think it's fun. You see, you get the liquors and you get the zombies and you get the action, but it's just again, it's an inspired by take on. It's not a replica or like a complete adaptation. And as I said, someone who's not involved too much in the games, I think you would actually like it because you like the core of the films, which is the tricky, sneaky company with the virus and the this and the that,
Okay, okay.
yeah, I
Like
would
I
say
said, I'm
see
gonna
it.
go in with an open mind.
Yes,
It's on
going
the
with an
watch
open mind.
list.
If you hate it, text me and just rip me apart, and that's it.
And like no more recommendations from you, Ezra.
Yeah. No more recommendations from me. uh, I guess it's safe to say, really, that no matter how or when, I just really like seeing Resident Evil brought to life, and I think I will always support it. I think I'm gonna see anything and everything that says Resident Evil on it, and I think that's how it's gonna stay for now, if you ask me.
Same, same. I totally agree. I will keep on watching things Resident Evil as they come. Hopefully, they aren't completely trash. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna give this Netflix series a chance because, listen, why not? I got nothing else going on. I can add it to my watch list for the new year. And like you said, like it's the whole nostalgia thing. Like anything with Resident Evil attached, like we're gonna give it a go. Like, cause why not?
Yeah, literally, because why not? There's also not really many other zombie things that are coming out are really happening these days anyway. So
No, zombie stuff doesn't get that much love.
it really doesn't. And if it does, it's done very poorly. Welcome to Raccoon City. Anyway, I think we have come to a close for episode 3.
Yes.
Thank you, of course, for being on. This was very fun. I know we were both a little like, oh my God, what are we gonna do?
I
It's also
know.
the day after New Year's Eve, so if you catch our drift, we're not at our
Yeah.
100%.
I was up late. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I was. That's all I'll say too. I was up late and it was a long night, but
It was fun
thank
nonetheless.
you, thank you as ever. And who knows, we may see some more episodes with you.
Yes. Hopefully I get invited back. This was so much fun. I was like a little like, oh my God, but I had like so much fun. The conversation was just so like amazing and organic. And who doesn't love just like talking spooky stuff, right?
Yeah, literally, and that's what we're here to do. That's what we do here at the Final Pod. We just talk spooky all the time.
Yes, exactly. And
Thank you again.
no problem. And shout out to the host Ezra, because you're popping.
Oh, thank you. I'm holding up my ghost face mug again, just in case anyone
Ow.
wants to know. We will do this again. We will. This was fun, 100%.
Yes, definitely. Let me know. Send me the deets. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, I will talk to you soon. Thank you again, and everyone. That is a wrap on season 1, episode 3.
Yay. Thank you so much, Ezra. And thank you to anybody who's listening.
Yes. Alrighty. Have a good one.
Yes. Happy New Year's. Bye.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Bye.
Bye.
All right, bye.